Presented by WeAreArcade.com. You're listening to Arcade Radio.
This week's music is brought to you by Kobayashi, a multifaceted rock band from Croydon itself. You can check them out on www.kobayashirock.com.
Hi guys, and welcome to Arcade Radio. Now this isn't actually episode 3, it's actually more like 2.5. We're just coming in to let you know that we're still alive. Sorry for keeping you in the lurch there, but we will be back in force soon. I'm your temporary host, Daniel Grosset, and with me today is Matthew Pollard and Kevin Cornwall, who is standing in for us today because he sounds a bit like Stevie. Say hi, guys.
Hi.
Hello.
We couldn't leave you without talking about the, of course, amazing new Grand Theft Auto 5 trailer. I mean, you know, it's like up to the frickin' dog balls was amazing, but we'll get to that in a minute. First off, I'd like to know, Kevin, what have you been playing this week? Tell us about yourself.
Mostly just PC games. I recently got StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm, and just recently been playing Half-Life 2 mod called The Hidden, which is a lot of fun.
What exactly is that, The Hidden?
It's a multiplayer shooter. It's where you have like a team of sort of generic SWAT guys against a near invisible enemy, which just has a shiv. But it's incredibly hard to kill because it's not even like the Predator levels of stealth. It's like you can barely see this guy. It makes it really hard, but it's really fun.
Oh, okay, alright. Sounds weird, frankly, but you know, whatever. PC players. Matt, what about you? What have you been playing?
Well, this past week, or rather weekend, I've actually not played anything because I've actually been out in, you know, like the real world.
Whoa, what?
Yeah, I know. I was in Dorset this weekend. I was out in the sunshine. I think I even got a little bit of a tan. I think that's like taboo for gamers, I think.
Wait, you were out on your way to buy a game,
not one
right?
of us.
Yeah. You were looking for some rare gets, right?
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I was out in Dorset. It was very much like being in Skyrim because there's a lot of fields, a lot of trees, a lot of funny place names as well. So, you know, I was kind of like, call it role playing almost.
Okay. I can
before I did go away, I was actually playing the new Deadpool game on the Xbox 360, which, you know, it's good fun. It's not anything complicated. It's, you know, runny, jumpy, hacky, slashy, shooty, jokey, farty nonsense, really. But, you know, it is good fun.
Dorset. So if you put some mods in there, you could like turn all the people into naked sex elves, right?
Yes, maybe. I think that also involves getting arrested, and I don't think you get any respawns
That's
either.
fine. I can pay the fine, right? I'm the richest guy in Dorset. Alright, so.
Every vendor sells pasty.
Let's move on to, of course, Grand Theft Auto 5. The trailer came out this morning. Looks amazing. Frankly, personally, forget the next generation. I don't even need it anymore. Like, this game looks ridiculous. Matt, how blown away were you? If at all, really. Do you hate GTA 5, Matt? Do you hate it?
I do not hate it, actually. I was a bit skeptical at first because as much as I enjoyed Grand Theft Auto 4, I found it took itself a bit too seriously. At least compared to the other GTA games, especially like San Andreas, which, to be honest, was my favourite one. I like the openness of it. Yeah, I like the whole, like, mid-90s feel to it and all of that. So I was a bit skeptical at first, but I think GTA 5 should be very, very good. Hopefully it'll be a return to form. I especially like, one of the things that was bothering me was the fact that they were going with 3 characters this time. I wasn't sure whether they'd be able to pull it off. I didn't know whether the balance would be right. But looking at the gameplay video, the way that you can switch between characters within the mission to get different aspects of that mission, and also, you know, just little things like, you know, when you switch from one character and the other 2 are off doing their daily lives, you just like swoop into the middle of what they're doing, whether it's like just going for a bike ride or whether they're being chased by the police. That's very cool as well.
I'm really hoping that this might hint towards some kind of co-op multiplayer. I mean, I'm a massive sucker for, you know, multiplayer games, as anyone who's heard the show before probably knows. And I know it's probably not going to be that way because it's not really Rockstar's thing, but I would love it if they could like tie in a bit of like 3-player multiplayer action in there.
That would be very cool.
What did you think, Kev, from watching it?
Yeah, I mean, I've always thought that whilst, stuff like Saints Row is generally a bit more fun, Grand Theft Auto does sort of set the benchmark for what an open world, sort of action game should be. Yeah, it does look amazing. The only thing that I'm slightly worried about is, one thing I do notice is, if you go and play Grand Theft Auto 4 now, you'll notice that the draw distance and stuff like that isn't very good. Everything gets a little bit blurry and sort of a bit pixelated. So I'm a bit worried that that's what will happen with Grand Theft Auto 5, and that they're just showing us sort of like high-res, PC based.
It did look really tasty though. I mean,
it does look so tasty, and I think it's a little bit too tasty for, say, the Xbox 360. So I'm kind of expecting it not to look as good.
So on a scale of like 1 to tasty, where tasty is like tasty, and like, not tasty is like, not bad. What are we thinking here?
I'm thinking sort of like a 6. Cause
how would you describe a 6 in terms of like deliciousness?
In terms of like what you'd see on the screen, everything directly around you would look good, but anything sort of, say, more than like 10 meters sort of down the street will be a bit fuzzy and pixelated.
So basically it's a sausage roll.
A sausage roll, yeah.
Right, so the insides are great, but the outside's kind of flaky and, whatever.
Exactly, like a day-old sausage roll.
Are you eating day-old sausage? Okay, we'll move on. Matt, what about you? In terms of delicious foodness, what are you giving the first look at GTA?
I'll probably give it an 8, which I would probably rank as maybe like a Krispy Kreme donut.
Ooh.
Very tasty to start with, but, give it a bit of time and you have to see how you go, because, too much of it you might throw up.
I never have that.
I will just eat Krispy Kreme donuts. Yeah.
Is it just me? Do I have like
Stop eating them.
Cream in? Oh.
You know what? Well, I will do you a favor, Matt. Bring them to me. I will save you from Krispy Kreme tyranny.
Who is this guy? He goes outside. He doesn't like Krispy Kreme donuts.
Man, I don't know. I think I picked up the wrong dude for the podcast.
Yeah.
But okay, so we're giving a Krispy Kreme and a sausage roll, which is pretty good because you could fit a sausage roll into a Krispy Kreme, which is it's like a low 9, really. Because you give a sausage roll in it.
Like, don't get me wrong. The game's going to be fantastic. I'm going to love it. I like what they're sort of like hinting at for the multiplayer.
That did look amazing.
It did. Like the multiplayer on 4 was good. In terms of just sort of like pissing around. It was quite fun. You could get up to like a lot of sort of hijinks with it. If they're making it a lot bigger, I would like to see what's going on with that.
I think my only concern is, because like you say, I think the Grand Theft Auto series is made for co-op. Whether they actually do that, I don't know. But as long as they don't just like go down the whole deathmatch route, because deathmatch has been done to death. It works. It works for some games. I mean, okay, Halo, Call of Duty, fly and go off and shoot zombies in the face and other people in the face and, teenage boys in the face or whatever it is you want to do.
Whoa, let's steer clear of shooting teenage boys in the face.
Well, yeah, it's frowned upon, I hear. But yeah, they do really need to come up with some sort of co-op. But my other point was, watching the trailer, I noticed they're putting a lot of, not so much mini games, but activities in than before. So there was tennis, there was like golf, I think, and they actually look like proper games, not just like, quick time events, but actual, proper golf simulations like you see in Tiger Woods and proper tennis games, which could be very, very cool if it works, but I just hope they haven't spread themselves too thin and tried to cram too much in there. Because obviously you want all these cool fun activities in, like there was in San Andreas, but you don't want them to go, yeah, we've put all this cool stuff in and we've actually forgotten to make the whole thing work.
Well, this is what GTA do. They make one game like every 5 years, but then in that one game they make 5 other games. Like the whole poker thing in, Red Dead. That could be a game on its own. I'd play a game where you're a cowboy and you play poker and that's it really, 800 points download or a couple of quid indie game, sure, why not?
Yeah, so, like Texas Hold'em Poker.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's loads of stuff in a lot of their games. You know, there's rhythm action stuff, there's, you know, mini sports stuff, there's races, there's always races. And it's, go on.
I was going to say, do you think that's something they're actually doing with the multiplayer? Do you think they're actually doing multiplayer versions of these games?
I really hope they really push the multiplayer stuff. I mean,
like a golf tournament.
Yeah.
Fine, I'll take it. I'll take it. I will take a mini golf tournament. It's hard to say. I mean, like, obviously we've got Saints Row, Saints Row 4, whatever it's called, coming out, soon, which goes obviously in completely other direction in terms of the open world, you know, crime simulator game, whereby they're fully aware that because what people like to do, or used to like to do a lot with GTA, was put all the cheats on, and have a world where cars bounce off you, and you can fly through the air and nonsense. And Saints Row have gone straight towards it. They've gone, okay, here you go guys, here's GTA with cheats as a game. And I mean, but that's ripe for multiplayer, and it's got 2-player multiplayer in them. I'm hoping they're gonna put more player co-op in there for number 4, but we'll see. It's a world, it's a huge world, and I don't know the logistics of, like, you know, programming the whole thing where one guy's on the other side of the city and whatever, but I would absolutely love to see more of that stuff. I'm hoping that the online proponent is supposed to be the answer to that, but, you know, time will tell.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like Rockstar are learning about what to do with their open world. Like, San Andreas, map-wise, was huge, but there wasn't enough to do in it. There was too many sort of like blank spaces between towns with not very much to do, except for go on like an endless hunt for Bigfoot, which never existed. And then in 4, they scaled back the city size, but there was a lot more to do in the city. So with this one, it looks like they've made something huge with a lot to do in pretty much every corner of the city.
I mean, I remember when 4 came out, and I was blown away then. I'm still pretty impressed when I play it these days. Like, it's so dense. There's so much in the game and in the city. Like, even when you're just wandering around, you know, there's a lot going on. One thing I do worry about, though, is that they did start to veer away from, like, the fun of GTA. I mean, you get it. You'd be driving around and stuck in actual video game traffic, and you'd get, like, a jokey radio show come on or something, which is fun. And, of course, the radio shows are part of the Grand Theft Auto myth everybody loves. But it didn't feel like it fit properly anymore. Did anybody else get that?
I mean, they've got a lot to live up to because, I mean, take the Vice City sort of soundtrack and radio stations, how that they still sort of live in infamy. They're fantastic. They've gone down in history. Grand Theft Auto 4 just didn't follow that. It had some good music, but, as opposed to like the well-written talk shows and stuff like that, just wasn't the same.
For me, yeah, I mean, totally. Grand Theft Auto 4, it was, don't get me wrong, it was a great game, but it was like I said before, I think it started to take itself a little bit too seriously. I thought it was like, you know, one of those things where you watch like, say like the original Star Trek and it's low budget and it's cool and it's fun, and then you come across something which has more budget thrown at it and they go, hey, look at us, this is brilliant, wow, and then, but it's not quite as fun, like this, as, Kevin said, the soundtrack wasn't, it wasn't bad music, but it just didn't have any of those memorable songs. You know, it's like in, say like Vice City, you're driving down the road, you're like shooting at a car, you know, off a scooter, and you're listening to Raining Blood by Slayer, and it's just awesome. But in Grand Theft Auto 4, it was just like, hey, I'm driving around, I'm in the car, I'm stuck in traffic, I'm listening to what's on the radio, I'm going to change the channel.
I couldn't believe I was getting stuck in traffic in GTA 4, it was so annoying. I got stuck in real world traffic and I was like, oh man, I'm stuck in traffic, I'll check out a magazine while I'm stuck in traffic. And I was like, I'm playing a video game and I'm stuck in traffic, forget it. So there are three characters. You've got Michael, who seems to be a kind of ex-mafioso, bank robber guy. You've got Franklin, who is black. And you got Trevor, who, I don't know, literally it's like, this guy's black and he's from the streets. That's about it. And you got Trevor, who is a redneck. And I'll be honest, Trevor seems like the most interesting character out of all of them because he's somebody we haven't had in the GTA series before. He is just like this
batshit crazy?
Yeah, this batshit crazy, creepy, scummy looking dude. And, you know, you don't usually want to play as him, but I'm sure that his mission is probably the most wacky, for want of a better word. That's probably more towards the Saints Row type stuff. I don't know, I like the idea of switching between them, but I get the feeling that we're just looking at Tommy Vercetti, CJ, and a guy with the cheats on.
The guy with the cheats on, yeah.
Yeah. Now, what do you guys think of him?
Well, it does seem to be that they have picked out three, like, you know, fairly stereotypical characters. But with Grand Theft Auto, one thing they do is they do a good story and they do decent characters. Even when you've got, like, you know, Mr. Guy Who Never Speaks in Grand Theft Auto 3, you know, it was still a good story. So I'm fairly confident that they should do them justice. The one thing that I did like the sound of is in the gameplay trailer, there's clearly like heists that are going to be pulled, you know, using these various characters. And there's actually a planning stage where you've got different plans to choose from and different, you know, characters and backup characters to choose from to help you plan these heists. That's something that's very cool, you know, and obviously that should provide a bit of a twist on the gameplay and also, I imagine, some replayability as well, because, you know, the games have always been replayable ones. But, you know, you throw in stuff like that, you go, okay, I'm going to pull off this heist and rob this bank, but last time I went in and I snuck in through the back and went into the safe and stole the money before I knew they was there. But this time I'm going to go in and shoot everyone in the face and then take all the money and then I'm going to storm out and shoot all the police as well. So you've got different takes on those things.
Isn't that how you play GTA all the time? Shoot everyone forever is how I usually do it. I die a lot, but, you know, shoot everyone forever.
Yeah, that's how you played the previous games, but this time it looks like you've got the option to either stealthy or shooty.
I always play, let's get the 6-star, wanted rating and then instantly regret my decision.
I always play, how did my car get into the river? Again, damn, I can't swim. Seriously.
That was the most annoying thing, is that you accidentally sort of like got shoved into a river and you died. It's like, why can't I just swim?
Alright, so we're looking forward to GTA 5. That's a given.
Yeah.
Where's the line? Oh, where's the line? I didn't see it as it was. What's the time? Oh, what's the time? Open up, 'cause I don't recognize this face. It's like we're stuck, we're always stuck, because we're standing in
going on from there, actually, one other thing that happened recently is Don Mattrick, the man we've come to vilify really for the whole Xbox One scandal.
TV!
Yeah, TV and sports and online, and you don't like it, get a 360. That guy, he has left Microsoft. He's left Microsoft and moved on to arguably greener pastures with Zynga. Zynga, well known for Farmville. Well, well, to be fair, all of Zynga's games have to be online to play. What does Don Mattrick want you to do all day? Be online. So, it's a match made in heaven. But he's moved on from being the president of the Microsoft Games division, the Xbox division, and moved over to being the CEO of Zynga. So, regardless of how you put a spin on it, really, it's pretty lucrative. Like, he's going to be getting a shitload of money to basically be the guy that turns around Zynga, who have been a vastly sinking ship for the past year and a bit or so.
I think the term is. Sorry, I think the term is hemorrhaging money. I think.
I mean, obviously Zynga had they had a huge start. They were the big name, and they really are the ones who hit the social media bubble like hard. Some would say too hard. Some would say they popped it. Some would say they literally stamped it out and set fire to it. You can thank them for all of those. Hey, do you want to come play bullshit game on your Facebook page? That you have to ignore.
Been sent a sheet.
Yeah, you can thank them for that. And of course they've been courting Mattrick for a while now. A lot of people were under the impression that he'd been fired. This obviously isn't the case. You don't get fired from Microsoft and then get picked up for a CEO job next day. It just doesn't happen.
Well, I don't know. It could be that, perhaps they were courting him for a while and he wasn't going to go, and then, this whole Xbox One scenario happened, because obviously, they've done this whole U-turn that we discussed on the last show, and obviously there's got to be a scapegoat for this, and obviously Don Mattrick has been like the face of the Xbox One thing, admittedly a face that you want to slap, but he's been the face of it, and well, perhaps he wasn't fired, perhaps he was advised to take the job, because the whole scenario hasn't looked very good for Microsoft, and perhaps it was just their opportunity to go, hey Don, okay, you've got this opportunity, go and leave, and you look fine, and then we can get someone in, try and turn this whole mess around. That's my view on it anyway. I could be just very skeptical, and I don't like Don Mattrick.
The funny thing is though, why would someone else take him on?
And why give him the company? I mean, they basically, CEO is handing him the company.
Because Zynga are going down like Titanic.
So you give it to the guy that instead of staying with the ship with the whole violins and stuff like that, single-handedly drives one of 2013's biggest products into the ground before it even launches. And then it's like, here, have our company, guy.
I think what it is with them really, I get the feeling that he'd already taken the deal before the whole Xbox One thing, and he just didn't give a fuck. He just whatever, here's your thing. You're gonna go online and whatever. I mean, it's like in the interview. Well, yeah, it's like in that interview when they're like, I can't remember who the interviewer was now, but he was like, hey, so what if you haven't got an internet connection? Like, you just wouldn't say, go get an Xbox 360, you chump. you just wouldn't say it unless you were literally already halfway out the door.
Live the past.
It's the kind of phrasing that somebody who, he's literally standing with his bags packed, and he's on the phone to Zynga and he's like, what? Oh, shut up, mate. Just go get a 360. Just leave me alone. I've got to get my gold-plated plane now. I'll see you later. He's been courted by Zynga and also, I believe, by EA. The guy, before all this, the guy turned, the Xbox into a very profitable machine, the 360. Very profitable. I remember reading somewhere that, a few years ago they were looking at a massive loss of 50 mil or something, and he turned around and he said, nope, gonna make a profit, and he did, he turned it around, he made double that in profit. He does know how to run a company, but I don't think he knows how to, yeah. I think the thing is he knows how to run a company, but doesn't know how to talk in public. I don't think he knows his audience, to be fair. I mean, he clearly knows how to run a company. Obviously, the Xbox 360 has been hugely successful, and to say perhaps he wasn't a part of that would be lying and perhaps doing him an injustice.
But, you know, from the whole Xbox One thing, it just doesn't seem like the guy knows his audience. You know, gamers are very fickle creatures. I know, I am one. But, you know, to just completely take what they've loved about a console and completely throw it out the window and go, okay, this is what you're getting. It strikes of naivety. And obviously, Sony's approach was obviously the way to go. I mean, it's like we said last week, they probably will introduce some sort of like, you know, digital, trading and rights, you know.
Yeah, I think that'll come back. I don't think that's, I can imagine like, you know, the DRM thing going like, you haven't seen the last of me, and like, it'll rear its head again, like, it will. It's just gonna happen. Yeah,
it will be like, you know, the monster in the horror film that, you know, you think's dead and suddenly comes back to life.
Just a hand coming out from the rubble of a pile of Xbox 360s.
I can see it being something that they're definitely going to bring back. I mean, they want this to happen, and like I said before, I can see the future moving this way. Microsoft got greedy. They got greedy, they tried to push it too early, and people balked at the idea. It's like I said before, electric cars, good idea. Telling me that tomorrow I can't have my current petrol running car, and I'm going to have to throw it away, bad idea. As simple as that.
Yeah, it's inevitably going to go that way. I mean, it's already pretty much taken its course on the PC market, but consoles, like the console audience, aren't ready for that, and they tried to push it a bit too soon. Sony tried to push it a bit too soon as well with like the PSP Go. Completely failed, was done within a year. They had to discontinue it. So for that, Microsoft them to try and do it themselves, and in a really bad way as well. Like, it's not even like the restriction on like the used games, the always on thing, everything else that they added on top of it. I don't understand what they were thinking.
Yeah, it was just like a massive PR fuck up. You sit down and you look at it, and they're not necessarily bad ideas, they were just marketed in completely the wrong way. If they had said, look, you're going to still be able to, buy games on a disc, trade them, sell them, set them up as like, ornaments in your house, do whatever you like with them. But we've also got this new cool trading system, this new system where you can download and share with like 100 million people or however many it is on your account, and all these wonderful fits. But they didn't do it like that. It's just like I said last week, all you heard was, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this, and people pick up on the negatives first. They don't focus in on the positives. It's just how things work.
Things like game sharing wasn't even going to happen from the get-go. But we've done that. Matt called it anyway. We were right. We beat them, guys. They'll be back in the year. So there you go.
Don't read because I can. She is the bionic woman. And I am a synthetic man.
I'd like to move on from the microaffection to our last point, which is the upcoming Pacific Rim. Now, I know this isn't a game, guys, but let's face it, it's giant robots punching giant monsters. It might as well be. I'm going to literally go to the cinema, just hold a controller. Just going to hold it just for comfort. I'm going to take a fight stick, my full arcade fight stick, and just sit there in the front row, just tapping buttons and go, yes!
Well, even like during like the dialogue heavy bits, you're just gonna be like pressing A, like trying to select the dialogue options.
Yeah, I'm gonna be doing like Mass Effect style, and I'm gonna be like, yes, you'll be in bed soon. Asian lady, I don't know the name of. Yeah, no, it's looking fantastic.
As soon as I saw Rocket Punch, I was sold.
Amazing. I know that it's like, it's basically what I did when I was like 10, and just like getting my toys, my action figures, and just like mashing them together. The movie. I'm already sold. I haven't even seen it yet. Plus, it's still got the voice of GLaDOS in it. Now, have they even mentioned anything about that? No one's even said like, oh, we liked her voice, or we hired her. Anything?
I think, the director said something about it. He said for the trailers, he deliberately made her sound more like GLaDOS, but in the actual movie, she won't sound quite as GLaDOS. She'll still sound fairly robotic, but she won't be GLaDOS.
I was really looking forward to some GLaDOS.
I'm guessing for copyright reasons, you can't have the exact same person do the exact same voice for a completely different movie.
Why not? That would have been awesome.
Would have been an awesome plot twist if she suddenly took over all the Jaegers
and
took over the world.
Matt, what do you reckon so far of it so far? I mean, like, we've seen like trailer upon trailer, we've seen, some behind the scenes stuff, and it comes out, is it this week? This Friday?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, the 12th. Yeah, this Friday. What do you reckon, Matt?
Well, to be honest, I was kind of oblivious to the whole thing up until, I went to see Man of Steel. I was a bit behind everyone else. I didn't see it until like the weekend before last. So, and then, I was sat there and this trailer for Pacific Rim came up, and it was just like, it's like a childhood wet dream almost. It's just like, it's big fuck off robots fighting big fuck off monsters. And it's just like kind of everything you want in a sit down, turn your mind off action film, isn't it? I mean, cause it was kind of promised with like initially with like the first Transformers film, and it was like, yeah, that's cool. And then, Mike just went, fuck you. But yeah, I mean, it's awesome. The fact that, GLaDOS isn't, the voice of GLaDOS isn't actually in the main film is a bit disappointing, because I heard that in the trailer, and I just like nudged my mate next to me, and it's GLaDOS.
No, I practically knocked my friend out. I was like, GLaDOS! I was like, you're hurting me, stop punching me. That's exciting stuff.
Cause any film would be made better with GLaDOS in it, to be fair, cause they should probably actually make that a thing, to just have GLaDOS as the voice of every single robot or computer in every single game. It'd be like, what's her name? I can't remember her name now. Star Trek.
Uh-huh.
Oh, Marjol Roddenberry.
Yeah, she did she did the voice for every single, computer in the Star Trek film up until she died. That's the sort of thing I meant.
I mean, I heard that bit about the voice, quite a while ago, so I'm kind of hoping that they have, changed that in post-production, so that it is more like GLaDOS in the movie, but who knows? But that was their standpoint, as of a few months ago.
Okay, so, judging from what we've seen so far, guys, in terms of delicious food scale, I'm gonna give Pacific Rim a lasagna. That's a nice 9. Just so that's my preview.
I'm gonna give it like a full Sunday lunch with all the trimmings.
I'm gonna give it a sushi. I've got a nice taste for it, but I need to have a bit more before I'm certain.
Alright, sounds good. Okay, so guys, we have come to the end of the show. It's a short one, and we thank you for listening and for sticking with us. Remember, you can catch us on Facebook at We Are Arcade. You can also find us on Twitter at We Are Arcade. You can also check us out online, wearearcade.com. And of course, you can subscribe to us on iTunes. Please don't forget to go on there and write us a comment and rate us and subscribe to us. We love that stuff. If you do it, we won't kill Kevin. So, thanks very much, guys, and it's been great talking to you. Bye.
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 www.wearearcade.com